Every gardener has those one or two seed types that they cannot get started no matter how hard they try. When I first started gardening, I had the hardest time starting these special seeds that even when I followed the package instructions, something always went wrong. What I couldn't figure out is if the problem was mine or if the problem was these seeds and these plants did not belong in my climate. Sometimes you can't just use soil and water to germinate seeds. Sometimes you have to mimic their natural environment in order to get them to germinate. Welcome to homestead gardening in the Texas Gulf Coast. Today I'll be sharing with you my tricks to starting special or difficult seeds using techniques called scarification and stratification. If you're trying to germinate a seed with a thick, tough outer seed coat, often this seed requires special treatment called scarification. There are 4 types of scarification methods: mechanical, thermal, freeze-thaw, and chemical. Scarification etches away the outside of the seed coat or damages the seed coat so that the embryo can break through. The first type is mechanical scarification. Mechanical scarification is either when you rough up the outside of the seed coat or you nick the seed coat. For seeds like nasturtium, I like to use a kitchen box grater to carefully etch away the outside of the surface. I always want to use gloves when I do this, but all you have to do is rub the seeds against this box grater, and you're going to be able to germinate the seed extremely quickly, usually cutting germination time in half. When I don't scarify my nasturtium, 9 times out of 10, I have every seed rot before they germinate. Other seeds that still have a thick outer seed coat but are slightly brittle, all you have to do to mechanically scarify this seed is to simply crack or nick the surface so water can get in. This is especially helpful with my bitter melon seeds. If I don't have any tools handy or I'm feeling especially lazy, I can simply take a larger seed like this Zucca gourd seed and rub it on the surface of rough concrete to scarify it. All you have to do is find a broom finished concrete, which is a rough surface concrete. Take the seed and go ahead and rub just the edge. This is all you need to scarify the seed and allow water to get in. After mechanical scarification, all of my scarified seeds are soaked in water for 8 hours. Then they're transferred to a soilless, sterile medium and allowed to germinate indoors before transplanting outside. Now, what do you do about a seed whose seed coat is so thick that it's not reasonable to mechanically scarify? Well, this Texas mountain laurel seed actually might take up to 10 years to germinate. You did not mishear me. It does take 5 to 10 years sometimes to germinate a Texas mountain laurel seed without proper scarification. Mechanically scarifying a Texas mountain laurel seed is labor intensive. This is why thermal scarification is a great alternative for this particular type of seed. To do this, all you have to do is use a stove or a microwave to boil water. Once that water is boiled, take it off the heating element, add your Texas mountain laurel seeds or other seeds with thick seed coats, and let that seed soak until the water comes back to room temperature. For some difficult seeds like this Texas mountain laurel, you may have to repeat this process 2 or even 3 times. Just make sure you remove the seeds before you get the water to boil again. Now, after these seeds are thermally scarified, you want to put them in a sterile soilless medium that's constantly moist until they germinate. It may take only 2 to 4 weeks for some to start germinating, but other seeds can take months. Just be patient with the seed, it will eventually germinate for you. Another method you can use to scarify is called freeze-thaw. A lot of veteran gardeners use this method because it makes it easy to plant their seeds. What they do is they fill an ice cube tray with water, they add a single seed into each ice cube, obviously they freeze it, and then they plant the frozen ice cube in their garden when it's warm enough to thaw. You can also freeze an entire package of seeds into your ice cube tray, let everything thaw out indoors, and then plant each individual seed as you like. Just make sure you don't let the seeds dry out after the thawing process because they will have started soaking at that point. The last method is chemical scarification, and this is when you use an acid to etch the outside of your seed coat. The other 3 methods are so effective for me, I have not used chemical scarification for my seeds or for my garden. If you use chemical scarification for your seed starting, I would love to hear more about that. Leave me a comment below and let me know which seed coat it works best on. Now let's talk about cold stratification. A lot of natives, wildflowers, and even some ornamental plants like roses need cold stratification to germinate. This is a period of time when seeds are exposed to cold weather for about 4 weeks before they will germinate. There are 2 ways to cold stratify your seeds: outdoors and indoors. Outdoors is so incredibly simple. All you have to do is plant your seeds before the cool season and let nature do the rest. Usually I let seasonal rainfall in winter handle the seeds, and I'm completely hands-off until they germinate. Sometimes if we have a warmer winter or a dry winter, I'll help those seeds along a little bit in the beginning by watering. The timing to plant seeds outdoors is tricky for most gardeners, but my rule of thumb is to plant the seeds around the same time that these plants will naturally seed out and throw their seeds at the end of the growing season. Seeds that need cold stratification to germinate are genetically intelligent. They will not grow until the right time of year comes around. If you live in a really warm climate like Houston, it's difficult to stratify outdoors because we don't always have consistently cool weather. For specialty plants like lavender and roses, I'll actually cold stratify indoors using my refrigerator. To do this, I use a sterile, soilless growing medium like peat moss. Moisten the growing medium in a plastic bag and add my seeds so they are covered with the medium. I put my baggies in the fridge, not the freezer, and leave them for about 4 to 6 weeks until I'm ready to plant. You can leave them longer, but it's not necessary. Then I plant the seeds about twice as deep as they are wide in fresh, sterile growing medium and wait for them to sprout. The cool temperatures in moist soil during the cold stratification process helps to break the seed coat, and removing them from the fridge signals the plant that winter is over and it's safe to grow. If you have other unique methods for germinating difficult seeds, I would love to hear them. Leave me a comment below. For a full list of all the seeds that I like to stratify and scarify, visit my blog.